Hello everyone, it's Max McAllister back with another episode of Cycle with Max. Today's topic is going to be gearing. We're going to start today on talking about road bike gearing because I'm doing a lot of videos kind of aimed at road biking first, and we'll get to some about mountain biking later. But a lot of the philosophy here does apply to mountain biking as well. Now, commonly in the world of road bikes now, there's 3 different sets of chain rings available for your bike, and they're known as standard, mid-compact, and compact. And that also kind of is associated with some cassettes in a way. But let me get my pin here. This is my dry erase pin, I hope. If not, I'm about to ruin my board. Let me get this one. Alright. So, standard gearing, over time, if you watch old cycling videos of professional cyclists, they used to just murder themselves, with this horrible mashing cadence and grunting and, looking like they're going to blow their colons out everywhere. That was because they were riding on really large chain rings. And the cassettes that they were using had a very limited range. So, in the old days, they might have been 4, 5, or 6 speeds. Every, 5 years, we all get a new gear. So, obviously, we're currently up to 11-speed road drive trains. But, so standard gearing, standard chain rings are 53 outer ring and 39 inner ring. Mid-compact is 52 and 36, and compact is 50 and 34. That's the number of teeth, okay, on your chain ring. So big ring on the outside, little ring on the inside. Those are the numbers that are pretty common. Now, for cassettes, in the old days, it was all kinds of stuff. It was a big deal when they had 1123. That was, so 11 is the tiniest cog on your cassette. 23 is the biggest one. And a long time came 1125s, and it's been pretty popular to have 1128 for some time. But now they've gone on further to 1132. There's also some 1130s out there, but 1132 has now become pretty popular. Some people have dubbed that subcompact gearing. So you'd have a 50-34 chainring set with an 1132 cassette. Now, what does all these numbers mean? Okay, let's talk about that. The bigger your chainring is, for each revolution of the pedal, the farther your bike will go. So it's harder to pedal it. The rear wheel will cover more ground for each revolution of the crank. Now, there's a couple of things that can be applied by knowing that one simple fact. Your inner chainring is way smaller. So it's easier because it travels far less distance. So that's why when you're on your little ring, you can spin your legs easier with less effort, okay? Now, there's a big machismo thing of saying, I ride on the big ring, and, I do this because it makes me stronger, and, that's how I'm going to become a better cyclist. Lance Armstrong proved that wrong, 9 times, over, and 7 times as in the Tour de France. So, spinning a high cadence, he kind of, changed the world with that and showed people that there was a better way to ride a bike. Now, so obviously this year, actually even at the Tour de France, Chris Froome was on a cassette of this nature, I believe, on one of the mountain stages. And it was kind of big news that a professional rider would ride such a cassette that would normally be aimed at a beginner cyclist. But if you're trying to drive your bike up a mountain that's shaped like that for 5 miles, it's a totally different story than just being a beginner rider trying to get over a little hump in your neighborhood. So, let's say your bike who knows what you have. Let's pick the middle. You have a mid-compact drivetrain on your road bike. Now, if you ride in hilly terrain at all, and if you get into your easiest gear, meaning you're on your little ring, and if you have an 1128, you're on the 28 tooth cog, the biggest cog in the back of the wheel, right? So you're on your biggest cog, and you still can barely get up the hill. If you find yourself, you're just grunting away, okay, you can go buy chain rings relatively cheaply. In fact, it's probably one of the cheapest upgrades that will give you the biggest gain in performance of anything you can do to a bicycle, is to just put easier gears to ride on the bike. So changing to compact chain rings will make it like you've got a whole nother gear that you can shift into to go easier. So if you were on 5236 and 1128, if you could go to 5034 and 1132, it would be like you could shift 2 more times effectively for riding up the same hill. So obviously that's going to be way easier. Now, for the people who say, things like, oh, you should just learn to ride the harder gear, it'll make you stronger. That's just terrible advice, okay? And I wouldn't recommend that at all. So now, why do I say that? So I'm not a professional cyclist, and by any stretch, I'm average. So I would say, if I were to go try and be a road racing cyclist, I would be a good Cat 5 or a bad Cat 4 racer. I'm a sportsman mountain biker. But still, wherever I want to go ride, I'm able to ride with usually the fastest group. And I only say that to give you a gauge. All of my bikes have compact gearing on them. Now, why would I do that? Well, I know a little bit about math, and so some people just don't understand the math behind the bicycle. So, on a compact gear set, the 34 tooth cog on your cassette, no matter which of these are, if you go on to the fastest cog, the 11, if you take a 3411 and pedal 100 cadence, your bicycle will be going 24 miles an hour, okay? 24 miles per hour on flat ground. How many people do you know can pedal 24 miles an hour steadily on flat ground? I don't think there's too many that can actually do that. So now, the question becomes, why? Why would you want to have gearing that's so hard to pedal that you punish yourself? It just doesn't make any sense. Now, so changing chain rings is very easy. It can be done actually in pretty minutes, depending on the arrangement of your bike, certainly 10 minutes. So it's a very easy thing to do. If you go to smaller chain rings, you might have to cut a pair of links out of your chain and shorten your chain. Again, if you don't have the tools or the knowledge, your bike shop can do that for you. Now, if you're on any of these, 1123, 1125, most bikes will easily accept an 1128 cassette. And that's, again, cassettes are, chain rings might be $100. A cassette, like an Ultegra cassette, $65 or something on Amazon. It's not a lot of money. And the change is massive, and you get to enjoy it for every mile you ride your bike thereafter. If you want to go to one of these 1132 cassettes, the odds are you may have to change your derailleur to do that. So you'll have to go to a derailleur with a longer cage on it. And again, your local bike shop can provide you guidance depending on whether you're riding on Shimano or a SRAM drivetrain. But this part's called the cage. And with the short cages that come with them, they'll only accept typically the 1128 cassette. But you can buy a longer cage derailleur. And again, in Ultegra, they're not a lot of money if you ride a Shimano bike. They have them in 105 as well. And then you can mount an 1132 cassette. And so this will give you some good hill climbing gears and make cycling significantly easier for you. Now, when I say easier, it still can be hard. You're riding a bike, you're working hard, but it doesn't have to be brutally painful. So if people are telling you, and you have to look at the person giving you the advice. So are they giving you the advice based on who you are as a rider or who they are as a rider. So when some guy that's in the club you ride with is in the fast group and he says, oh yeah, I always ride 52-36, that's what you need. Well, if that rider can average 20 plus miles an hour on any ride he goes on, and you're averaging 14 or 15 miles an hour, the information the advice is unrelated and it's terrible advice. So you need to know that the person who's giving you the advice is giving you advice that suits you, not them, telling you how to try and be like them. All right, so there's some information on gears. Biggest bang for the buck to improve your cycling that I know of on your bicycle. So look into what you've got on your bike and see. Most of them are marked on the inside. They'll have numbers. You can find right on the chain rings. That'll tell you what number they are. Some of them are printed on the outside of the thing, or it'll tell you the bolt circle diameters and stuff like that. Just so when you go to your bike shop, you'll be able to know. So there's the difference between a standard and a cyclocross chain ring, which is 46 teeth. So anyway, there's some looks. Anyway, all right, so this is Max. If you like these videos, please share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll be back with more stuff to help you get more out of your cycling soon. All right.